You can proceed.
Okay. Yeah, so I was saying the reason why I decided to get this path is that I have been a fan of wanting to explore the world, wanting to know new things, wanting to learn new things here and there. And I've had tried to attend a few seminars here and there that has to do with financial issues. And I realized that as our generation, there's one thing that we are lacking. Yes, we get the good quality education that we need from grade 1 to grade 12, and then we go to tertiary education. But there's one thing that we're never taught, or that has never been communicated to us, is how you have to deal with your finance.
Yeah.
When you only come to learn of that if you take a course or a program that is related to finance. If you do not take any program related to finance, then you won't have the knowledge that you need. So you find there are a lot of brilliant people that I've seen, a lot of brilliant people with brains, with brains when they start telling you, quoting words of scripture, they start telling you things that they have learned, you'll be even surprised and shocked. You're like, wow, this person is very knowledgeable. But when it comes to issues to do with finance, which is the backbone of every economy, the backbone of every house, and the backbone of every individual, they fail to tell you anything about that. Like they'll go blank. They're like, how do I go about this financial literates? So I figured, I was like, okay, if this be the problem, then it's better to start now than later. Starting now when I still have that energy that can drive me to do things here and there. If it doesn't work out, I can shift so quickly because I'm still young. I can shift and try to attach something, try to focus on something, trying to explore around and see how best it can work for me. Moreover, if you have got knowledge has been shared to you and you acquire that knowledge, no one will take it out from you. You'll grow old with it. So better, why not get the knowledge now and then just grow old with it? And start applying the principles bit by bit. You can apply one principle, maybe 2 years later, you apply another principle. Because I believe these principles are not supposed to be applied all of them much ago, but you can be applying one after another. Once you understand the principle proper to the fullest, that's when you can go the next principle. And also, one person who encouraged me a lot to start these things, that I remember that should be, I think it's some years back, should be, I think in 2014, if not 2015, somewhere there. We had a seminar at church, and then there was this man who stood up, very old man. He was like, I used to work in government, and I had my own driver by then. He had retired. That driver of mine, we used to go out when have got workshops. I would take my driver, go for workshops. I would pay my driver all the money they need, the money for food. We would go with for workshop. The government would pay us a lot of money for those workshops.
That's right.
But one thing I never realized is that when we go for workshops, my driver used to remain in the car waiting for me. While he's in that car, he used to make plans on how he was going to live his life. The same man when he retired for his drive.
Wow.
Can you imagine? So I was like, where I am right now, I don't even have my own home. I'm renting a house for my own drive. You see? So yeah, so all that, and then that was attributed saying that if he had financial education or financial literacy, if he was guided well before then, it would have been easier for him to make sound decisions on how he was managing his finance. Owing to the fact that he used to get a lot of money, as he said, they would go for workshops, weeks, months, they're out of the country, doing all those workshops, earning all those huge sums of money. But at the end of the day, what do you do with the money? Nothing.
Yeah.
You see? Yeah, those are some of the very few things that made me to take this route of learning more about finance and understanding why the world runs the way it runs. Why do the rich keep growing rich and the poor continue being poor? I'm trying to understand between the two differences, because as time goes by, the margin between the rich and the poor doesn't shrink, but it grows bigger. It's going wide and wider. So I'm trying to understand what makes the system run like this, and what makes people, when they are born poor, they continue being the same line of poverty until they die, and what makes those who are born rich continue being the line of richness until they die. I'm trying to break that barrier that exists, and I'm trying to understand how can this barrier be broken. What is it that the poor don't do that the rich do?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing all that, Mr. Eddie. Are you a married man? Are you a family man? Because the counsel that we give
No.
to single and married people is different. Really, I want to tailor this to you. Approximately how old are you?
Yes, yes. You can put me in the range. Okay, you can put me in the range of 25, 28.
25,
I'm not yet even married.
No, okay, that's fine. Anyway, that's what I wanted to pick because it's important as we give counsel, as counselors in finance, to understand the people that we are actually dealing with. And I heard you have the idea, you want to start properly understanding all this knowledge and then get to have it. You see, from the Christian point of view, King Solomon actually writes, and it should be in Ecclesiastes, says, money answereth all things. That's what he says.
Yes.
And he does not put any exemption. This is where he starts from. He says, it's all things.
Yes.
Nothing like whatever. And you could actually, prop this and just try to say how true it is. It is indeed true that when you have money, most of the things become easier. So it's important.
Very much.
Yeah, I have realized that universities give a lot of programs, a lot.
Yes.
But there are few of the programs where they really get to give financial literacy in depth, and of which I do understand that this was supposed to be maybe some compulsory course like mathematics. You see mathematics is almost everywhere. Whatever degree you would want to do, actually, it would actually be within that same range. You get the point. Yeah, that is mathematics.
Yes.
You find math everywhere you go. You find math. Why don't we make finance compulsory to some degree, at least? Yeah, let's students, at a young age, people start learning about finance. These subjects, they start learning them in depth. In the university, whatever program of study you start, at least they should have this extra course called financial literacy.
Finance.
So that people, as they graduate out of universities, at least they have this understanding. This is very important, but I've observed there are so many programs, but there are few. Obviously, you'd find that people that could have maybe proper understanding, like people just know money, like, oh, money, I have this amount, I can take to the shop or whatever, buy this, and I pay this amount.
Yes.
I mean, proper understanding the behavior of money and how to conduct itself in the field of finance. This is what is not taught, actually. Yeah, find only few people from the business school, and even those people from the business school, the level at which finance is being taught is elevated. You understand? So people sometimes struggle to bring it down to the individual level, because I have had the opportunity, I have been in this thing of teaching finance at different levels of finance, including in universities. So I've understood, I've seen in the university, when we get to the university, how we teach finance, our focus is not individuals. We focus on training you how to work in the corporations. That's our focus.
Yes.
How can you apply finance in the corporation? So even if we talk about budgeting, if you had the budgeting for yesterday, that was broken down to personally. But when you go to corporations, there are other, models that we use, other templates that we use, and those are the ones that are taught in school. So you find that people are just learning to deal with a corporation, to deal with companies, to deal with the national budgets, all those bigger things that may be a challenge to break down to individual level. Get the point? So you find that those people now those people from finance, you find that they can only manage to apply that, most of them, when maybe they find themselves, if for national budget, you have to be with the Bank of Zambia, or you have to be with Zika as an accountant, like that. That's when you can contribute to the national budget. Then you find that you are good at that level, but breaking everything to individual level, people struggle still again. So I think this financial literacy thing, it's very, very important to be taught across. Having said all that, now let's get back to the study. When you are doing a one-on-one conversation with a consultant, it doesn't sound like a class for yesterday. It's a conversation.
Yeah, it is a conversation.
The one for yesterday, we don't leave it open-ended because many people would want to speak, right? And
yes, everyone would want to say something.
Yeah, so we close it. That's why you hear us. We just more like we are preaching, but that's what we do. Now, I heard that the plan is that we do stock market, the financial markets, how they work. And once we are done with that, how we talk about that part in real depth. Then, of course, at some point, you said you're going to have a session for corporate bonds,
yes.
government bonds and treasury bills. We don't know when you will book that, but we can encourage you to do that as quick as possible. Yeah, that's that. But as for now,
yeah.
As for now, what did you say? You wanted to say something?
I said most of that one should be done. Maybe I'll see how things can run. Maybe even first week of January or late this month.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, if you can manage even next week, you could have it. Or or late this month. That would be great, so that we can process the account creation process before the year ends. As we cross over, start participating in those as well. I will talk about that. As for now, I am talking about the stock markets. It's a very good option as well. But let's get now started. The first question is, what does it mean to own shares in a company? Or who is a shareholder? What does it mean to hold shares in a company? Now, the thing is like this. I want to talk about it from the basics so that you get it properly. Yeah, let me start from the basics. When you go to the patents of companies and the registration agency, PACRO, to register a company, right? A limited company for that matter, they will ask you to declare the nominal capital, the capital that you're going to inject into the business. Now, what is more interesting is that when you are injecting that very capital, they will ask you the value of the shares for that, because we believe that for public company, limited companies, actually, we have shareholders. They will ask you, how many shareholders are there? How many shares are actually in this particular company? Now, let me just scribble something on the screen that you may get to understand what I'm talking about quickly. Wait a bit. I just show you what I want you to see. Okay. Stock market. Where is my whiteboard? Right. Now you can see the whiteboard being shared. Is that right?
Sure, I can definitely see that.
Okay, that's right. So let's say you have injected 100,000, right? This 100,000 is the total capital that we've started the company with. And I am trying to define a share for you so that you understand what it is. So now, this 100,000 might have been collected from different people, right? There could be different people where you've collected this 100,000 from. Maybe you are 5 of. And so the agency will ask you to tell us the value of each share, right? Of course, it's not the focus of this study to show you share valuation. It's another, advanced piece of, study conversation where I can show you share valuation and how you calculate. But just get it that there is some value assigned. Let's say we say per share, it is 2 kwacha. Look at this. We say 1 share is 2 kwacha. So we're going to find the number of shares in this company, the total number of shares in the company. Pay attention. They will be found by dividing this 2 kwacha, the value of 1 share, into the total nominal capital. And for that reason, you shall have 50,000 shares. You get the point. This will give us the number of shares. So we have 50,000 shares. These 50,000 shares, this is the total number of shares we have in a company, right? Now, how do we get to know we have maybe 3 people that own shares? How do we know how many shares they have? It's easy. It's just about how much did you contribute? This is face-to-face investor. Exactly. If you give maybe 50,000, we'll say 50,000 divided by the total number of shares is 100,000. right? Yeah, 50,000 divided by 100,000. This will give us a fraction. Now, this fraction multiplied by 50,000 shares. You
Number
get
of
it, right?
shares.
Yeah, the
Yes.
number of shares. It will give the actual number of shares. Here we don't deal with percentages, please.
Sure.
We don't deal with percentages, we deal with the number of shares. This will give us the actual number of shares that this person has. Now listen carefully. We have said the number of shares or the value of the share in this particular company is just the 2 kwacha. Is that right? This is at the beginning of the company. Of course, now this value of the shares, the 2 kwacha, simply means when you want to buy shares in this particular company, at this point, you just need 2 kwacha for 1 share.
2 kwacha to get your share. Yes.
Yeah, to get your share. 2 kwacha in this company, you get your share. But now what will happen is that I want you to understand the idea of the share prices increasing. What will happen is that this company, the capital shall not remain 100, right? The capital is going to be. How does the capital increase? Sometimes you make profit. Out of the profit that you make, part of the profit you declare dividends. I'll talk about that later. Then a certain fraction you plow back in the company. It is called the retained earnings. A certain fraction that you put back into the business to sponsor the growth. So now this part of the the money that you put back into the business is called the retained earnings. It's added to the capital. So what will happen is that the capital will start increasing, going up. You get the point in that case.
Yes.
Yeah. As we keep on growing and expanding as a business, obviously the capital will keep on increasing. So what will happen now? Imagine the value of the shares now will start increasing. How do we determine how many shares we have? It is the capital has changed. We know the total number of shares that we have, there were 50,000 for a start, right?
50,000. Yes.
Yes. Imagine our capital now is 500,000 instead of 100,000. So we just say 500,000 divided by 50,000, the number of shares. I want you to show you the new value of the share, right? So you cancel that. Cancel that. 5 into 50, it has gone up to 10. Have you seen that? This is the new value of the share.
The new value for 1 share.
In that case, we say that the share has appreciated, has gained in value. That's capital gain.
Yeah.
So in case you want to sell these shares that you had bought in this company, you shall not sell them at 2 kwacha where you bought. No, you should sell them at 10 kwacha. There is the 80 kwacha difference. That shall be your capital gain per kwacha, per share. So it's say 8 kwacha times the number of shares you have in that particular company. That will give you the total gain you would have raised from that particular.
From that.
And so companies keep on growing and expanding their total. So you see the values of their shares keeping on increasing passage of time. I'll explain the fluctuations around share prices and what really happens very soon. But basically, in a nutshell, that's that. So what does it mean to own shares in a company? To own shares in a company simply means to own part of the company. Does that help?
Yes.
You're owning part of this company because you have invested in this company and you have shares in this particular company, whatever the number of shares may be. Right?
Yes.
We have answered that first question. Then the question is, what is a stock market and how does it actually work? Because when you want now to start participating in this particular market, you want to own shares, right? For example, for Zanaco, you want to own shares for ShopRite. You may not need to go to ShopRite, right? You just reach there on the till, say, hey guys, I want to shares in here. You don't do
Give me some of your shares.
Yeah, tell me some of your shares. You're talking about this, you're talking to the cashier. I am back, and
Yes.
sorry, I've been logged out. So I was saying there is this market, right, that controls, the selling and the buying of shares, which regulates the buying and selling of shares. You don't go direct to the particular company that you want to buy, but you buy through this particular market. The market is called a stock exchange market. Did you get that one?
Yes, I did.
Now, you find that these stock exchange markets, they differ from country to country, right? For example, if it is in Zambia, we have what we call Lusaka Securities Exchange or Lusaka Stock Exchange. That's the name of the market, right? We call it Lusaka Securities Exchange. That's the name. So Lusaka Stock Exchange or a stock market, that one, in that case, it regulates the whole process of buying and selling of shares in public limited companies. I'm emphasizing the public limited companies are these companies where anybody can buy shares and become shareholder of them. But the private limited companies don't sell shares publicly. Instead, they can actually engage a shareholder privately. So we are talking about the public limited company or the listed companies. Those are words that we use, terms that we use. When you say the company is listed, we mean it's a public limited company. Anybody can buy shares in that particular company. It's open to the public. So that is what a stock exchange is. Did you get that one? A stock exchange market.
Yes, I did.
There, for example, again in London, we also have London Stock Exchange that is in London. For USA, we have New York Stock Exchange. We also have NASDAQ. They have two main ones. Yeah, so you find that companies, the countries have these giant stock exchanges. By the way, a company can be listed in different stock exchanges, however, depending on the regulation. At some point when you want to own your own company, you may want your company to be listed, right?
Yes.
To be able to sell shares when it grows big. At that point, just for us, visitors will run you through the process of listing your company so that your company can also become a public limited company and anybody can become a shareholder at that level. We know also those processes where we helped some companies actually to be listed, to become public limited companies. So that is how that market works. Now, this market is actually regulated, right? It is actually regulated by Securities Exchange Commission. Now, this is very important. Securities Exchange Commission actually is one of the key, department, we call it, under the Bank of Zambia, right? It regulates the operations of LUSA. LUSA is not ultimate, right? LUSA is not ultimate. Whatever LUSA does is actually monitored by Securities Exchange Commission to just make sure that there's no fraud. There is nothing like I've been swindled or my money has been lost. When you're dealing with these are highly professional, platforms, you can't lose your money because there are so many bodies ensuring that you're protected as an investor. You have the Securities Exchange involved. You have the Bank of Zambia involved in controlling that. You also have LUSA itself controlling. You also do have the Ministry of Finance to that department. So there are so many bodies involved to make sure that you as an investor, you're protected so that you don't easily lose your money in that case. So the regulations and participation of companies, they are regulated by LUSA.
Yes. And most people, I find that most people fail to do the investments because that they had some chats with a few of my friends, trying to find out if they have any ideas of what goes on in the stock market, in the bonds and everything. Most of them just will say that, no, that thing is not for us. Our time hasn't yet come. Like they don't have that. They don't have that faith in the system. Like they feel that, no, when you put money in it, you can lose money because of some stories they hear from people. No, you can lose money here and there. So when I started hearing about that, I was forced now to start wanting to know more about it. And I discovered, like, no, guys, what you're getting just the wind that is blowing around. Those things are not true. You have to be in the system for to understand.
You got to understand. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that contribution. So I spent time to show you how LUCE is regulated in its participations or in its operations, because that gives the confidence to you as an investor. You understand that you can't lose money. It's a highly organized system. There is nothing like, hey, I've lost what and what. And it's, yeah. By the way, at this very point, let me make mention that it is not only individuals that get to have shareholders, to be shareholders in these companies, right? Even institutions have shares in the other institutions. You never knew of this. You never knew of that. Even the government has shares in other companies.
It is that complex. That one I never knew of it.
Yeah.
It's very complex.
It's that complex. Yeah. So that's why we say there are many participants, because even the government will be affected if the system becomes that porous. So they will make sure that
yes.
Because the government buys shares in other companies. For example, you know that the government has got shares in so many companies through NAPSA. Yeah, they have bought shares in so many companies, like within the country and outside the country. It does invest.
Within the country.
Yes. Even now, corporations, I'll give you examples of companies. Companies buy shares in the other companies. Let me show you what happens. When you are running a company, right? When you're running a company, at some height, your company would have grown. And of course, you may be interested in what other company they are doing, what they are doing, right? Or the product that they are doing. But you can't be moving from one product to the other. So at that point, you just get shares in that company. You can't be this person who owns you. You see, this is booming, you also go this side. No, what companies do, they maintain doing whatever they're doing. They just get money and invest in that particular company so that they become part of the shareholders of that particular company. That is how it is run.
Now that makes more sense.
Yeah. So you can't be all over. You will find companies like banks. You know, banks, you find that they have shares, for example, in utility companies like ShopRite. There are many companies that have shares in ShopRite, by the way. Yeah. It's other companies now have started buying shares. You can buy shares. By the way, you will see even when we get to the bonds, right? Bonds are treasury bills when you start to invest in the Bank of Zambia. Even if companies are given opportunities to invest.
Opportunity to invest also.
Exactly. So it's not just the simple, like it's not just about individuals. It's that complex and highly elevated. So you find that as well. You could have, Zanaco has put companies in other companies. So to give you an examples of Amazing Excellence. When the Amazing Excellence guys came for consultants to me, and through the consultation services, sessions we had, they have managed to hold shares, actually. Those guys have shares in ShopRite, by the way. I just want to give you an example. They have shares in ShopRite. They have shares in Zanaco. They have shares in Copperbelt Energy Corporation. Yes, CEC. They have shares in Chilanga, by the way. Chilanga. Yeah. And they also have shares in Zambia Shop. They spread out their portfolio as well. But it's a company. That's what I'm sending. That's the message that I'm sending to you. So we are trying to make mention to you that you do not need to be worried or think about, oh, is it just me going to be what and what? That's the message we are sending to you. Right?
Yes, because now that has made me understand one thing, because there's some that I've always been intrigued, that I've been trying to understand. I've been trying to understand, looking at companies. There would be times when a company would literally make nothing from their product, but still they go ahead and manage to pay their workers. So that used to leave me amazed. I was like, but how do they do it, haven't done anything because I've tried to run businesses for people. Like maybe you are working somewhere, people are doing a business, you are helping out. And then you'd find that there'll be times when you literally sell nothing.
Yeah.
Nearly for the whole month, that can sustain that business. But you get surprised, these big companies, then you understand that some of these big companies, they also don't sell certain of their products. But how do they manage to sustain their workers and everything and keep the company running?
Yeah.
Now, when you've mentioned that even companies can buy stocks, can buy stocks on, like I've now realized that, okay, so maybe some of them usually buy those, and then while they are running another product this side, when the dividend come from this end, they use that money now to pay their workers and maybe some reinvest again. Now that makes sense now.
Yeah, that's right. By the way, I've had opportunities to sit as finance directors for some time now in different institutions. So I
Okay.
understand it properly how it is working. So what you do is when you're running the company, like as finance director, it's for you to
Yes.
make sure that you decide the company should make investments. It should make other investments. It's just why you find there are companies that have got houses that have invested in real estate.
Yes.
They receive rentals, at complex level. They have other companies that have got infrastructure. They have just different levels of investments. You diversify the portfolio, buy bonds, you like different sources of income for this particular company. You
Yes.
don't just wait on the product that you sell. That is your duty as a finance director when you sit in that position. Anyways, let's move on. I told you now, when you're participating in the buying of shares, you are part of those shareholders and you're treated the same, whether you are a corporate or you are an individual, you are also a shareholder as well. So that's the level that you get to have when you are a shareholder. You can even attend meetings. Companies will send a representative, like directors will go and stand on behalf of companies and attend those meetings and hear what is going on. That's what basically is going on. So that's why companies also consult. They do consultant services to ask which companies are better for us to invest in, those things. And
Yes.
most of the time, when we started doing consultancy around these things, it was individuals actually coming to us. But at this time around, we are having more of companies coming for consultancy.
Companies coming.
Yeah, it's institutions now coming for consultants. A company comes, now we have the money and we want to invest in stock.
Yes.
Zigamba tinafika. Why is magamba tinafika?
Ufuna unilowe nikakuza tinafika. Simujairika imo. Unilowe nikakanga obwere. Iwe. Zakanshe nikayobwere dawo.
Oh, apologies for that. Yeah, I don't know what has really happened to the network. It's only that I'm working from somewhere. Okay.
All right,
Can you
no
hear me
problem.
now?
Sure. Yes,
Yeah,
I can.
so I was just trying to guide that. That is how it gets to be at some point. Now we have corporations that slowly started coming in. Obviously, 5 years from now, we'll have more of consultation just coming from corporations, and that will shift in terms of the customer base. So that's why when you called last time, I told you we had to put you on schedule, right? Now we put people on schedule because you find that usually the people do bookings, even companies do bookings for this conversation. Okay, let's move on now to, are there any benefits of investing in shares? Right. Number one, you own a part of the company, which is a good thing, right? And you also own the voting rights, depending on how many shares you have. And the secret is when you start owning shares in a company, increase the number of shares. Yeah, just aim at increasing the number of shares, because the more shares you have, the more powers you have when it comes to voting. Yeah, during the AGMs and the meetings. You also earn dividends from companies. Now, what are dividends? I will talk about dividends very soon. Then you can use the shares as a collateral, by the way. A collateral is a security that you promise any person you owe the loan or something that you're going to give them in case you default. That's a collateral. Yeah, a collateral is basically that instrument, that security. So way of saving, actually, the collateral, you can use shares, by the way. Even at the bank, you can ask them, what do you have to offer us? I have shares in this company. They're like, oh, let's see. Then you just print out certificate and show them. Then they'll, oh, okay. They can even grant you a loan because they know that you can easily, you have something to, yeah.
Something
you get the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a way of saving, and actually it's also a way of investing. Let me start from way of saving. You know, when you buy shares, for example, I mean, like there are some companies whose shares are really cheap, are not very expensive, as you're going to see very soon. Some companies you could buy shares as low as 10 kwacha or something. So you could be using your 300 kwacha, 500 kwacha. It's a way of saving. Meanwhile, investing, for example, in complex, ventures, you would need some more money. You get the point, maybe in real estate.
Yes.
So what you need, this one is good, is way of putting your money, instead of putting your money under the pillow or, whatever, mobile money, doing nothing, you could actually just buy shares in a company so that the money is growing. There is some.
Can generate, yes. This network is something else.
Yeah, the network is something else. I'm not from home. I'm somewhere. Okay. Is it secure? Right. We have already indicated that it's very secure actually to use to do investments in this. So your money is protected. That's a question that people get to have. Am I going to lose them? And I'm sure that one is cleared and settled with us, isn't it?
Yes.
Can anyone buy shares? Yes. As long as you have the registration, the national registration, you have an ID card, the NRC basically, or the passport. If you are not a local or a national, you could use a passport as well, right? So those are some of the IDs that you could actually use. So anyone can buy shares as long as they have those, they can do that. Is it very complicated? We have already told you that it's not a very complicated process. I'll run you through the process probably tomorrow. That's the focus. on how complex is it, what is the procedure, what do we do? Actually, we said tomorrow we are having a class at 14, isn't it? It should be 14 in my calendar. Yeah, it should be during the day, and I will share with you before the class ends, or remind me. So I tell you what you should put in place before tomorrow so that you can move faster.
All right.
Yeah, that's that. How do you gain now when you're investing in stocks, right? That's another question. I've tried to summarize this conversation. The gaining part of it, I've already said, number one way of gaining shares is shares appreciating, right? Gaining in price. You buy the shares at this price, then next time by the way, the shares, for example, for Shoprite, when we were buying those shares, I mean, it should be last year, some of them, we are buying them as low as 64 kwacha. One.
Wow.
But right now, you saw them yesterday, they're 251. 200,
yes.
Yes, that's a message we are sending across. Yeah, so there is such, you could gain by that. If you want to sell the shares, if I want to sell the shares in ShopRite, then I would sell them at 250, not at 64 where I bought them. This is one way of gaining. The other way of gaining is through the dividends. We call them the dividend. Now, dividends simply means, part of the profit that is made, then it is shared among the shareholders. So when the company makes profit at the end of the period, that profit after tax, that the company makes, there are two questions through the dividend decisions of the finance director. The finance director sits down and says, of course, using the dividend policy of the company, how much should we give to the shareholders, part of this profit, right? A certain amount is given to the shareholders to share amongst themselves. Then the other one, the other fraction is retained in the business to sponsor the growth of the business. It's called the retained earnings. That's what you call retained earnings. Right. Yes, that part you keep in the business. Now, I'm interested in the one that is given to share, to be shared. It is shared according to the number of shares that you have in the company. So, for example, during the calculations can be done, they say, for example, Richard say, okay, each share will be getting, the dividends will be 10 kwacha per share. Usually it's per share.
Yes.
Why is it per share? Because people own different number of shares in these companies. People have different levels of investment. You find someone just has 100 shares, someone has 1,000, someone has 1 million shares in the company. So you can't be getting it equally. So that's the idea, because of the levels of investments are different. So we say, how many shares do you have as an individual? That's a question. Do you have 5 shares? Whatever number of shares we have times that price per share, the dividend per share price. For example, if it's 10 kwacha per share, just for an example, you could multiply 10 times the number of shares that you have in that particular company. That's how much will come to you through the bank account. Of course, you don't use mobile money. You use the bank account in this case.
Bank account, yes.
Yeah, you receive that money as part of the dividends. Okay. That's how you earn. So there are principally 2 ways of earning, actually. These two is either by capital gain or by receiving the dividends, or both.
The dividend.
It is both.
Okay.
It is possible the shares have increased, you have also received the dividends at the same time. So those are some of the things that usually do occur. Maybe the question is, how frequent are dividends paid? Dividends are paid according to start with, this is an investment, by the way. It's not really maybe a business like a shop. We are getting money every day. So when people are, for example, when the business is trading, at a certain point, some companies, maybe after 6 months, they have to consolidate all the data, like sell stocks. These companies have to sell it. So you'd wonder that some stocks stay even for 3 months, actually. Stock turnover, inventory turnover goes up to 90-something days. So they have to sell the stock and do trade maybe for 6 months, and they would have sold all stock and consolidate their accounts, summarize, then they assess, did we make profit or we made a loss?
Now listen, made a loss.
When the company makes a loss, you make a loss as well. It's you.
A loss, because you're part of the company.
Exactly. When you make profit, we have made profit. Now, when you make a profit as a company, it's important. Then the company, through the dividend policy that we are using this time around, could actually decide to give out dividends. Are there some times when the company may not give dividends? Yes. How does it work?
Okay.
It's possible. For example, during COVID-19, let's say most of the companies, the entire economy went into a downturn, right? We are into a deep recession. The companies are not operating well. They're even fearing of closing down. So in short, at that point, they become so conservative. They don't want to just release the money because they want to make sure that they secure themselves. They have general reserves to make sure that they protect themselves against the emergency. They don't know where we are going at that point.
Yes.
So at that point, the company may not declare dividends. What they will do actually is, whatever they have made at that point, they'll say, guys, we're already making losses. Let's reserve the little we have so that we can survive as a company. During the AGM, they will communicate to the shareholders and say, during the AGM, they will present, the finance director will present the proposal. This one will come out as a proposal. Based on the following reasons, colleagues, we have decided, we propose that we don't declare dividends. And people will vote.
Okay. Yes.
You vote. And you vote according to the number of shares that you have. So people vote. Others will say, yes, this is what happens. People will say, okay, I think it's fine since we don't have pressure, like we are going through problems. I think let's not get the dividends as for now. Let's plow back the money as retained earning. At that point, we say you have 100% retained. So which means all the profit that you've gotten, you have to put it back into the business to sponsor the growth.
So just a quick one. So when it comes to time of voting, so the greater shares you have in a company, the more your voice is going to be heard when you are voting.
Exactly. The number of votes you have there will be much more. The number of votes you make. So you find that there is this person who has but maybe over 1 million. When he just casts one vote, what he's saying?
Everything. I see.
So
I
our prayer is us who just have, maybe you just have 100 shares. Your prayer is the one who has more shares, those guys, the big guys, they should vote on your side.
On your side, yeah.
Kind of voting, you find that even companies, because a company is also treated as an individual through the director, they'll send someone during the AGM, maybe the director will come. So will not be voting for himself. He will be voting on behalf of the company. For example, when you go to AGM, when we went to the AGM for Zanaco, right? Amazing Excellence was voting on behalf of Amazing Excellence. You vote according to the number of powers you have. So there is such. Exactly. Then there are these young shareholders. That's why I was telling you that the more shares you have, the more power you have when it comes to decision making. It's about voting. And people vote that, okay, it's fine. At that point, we'll have 100% plowback. We'll reinvest the money. And usually that is common, especially when the company is going through financial stressing. They do that. Yeah, of course. But the good part of that is that beneficial to us. Yes. Because when a company reinvests, that will be reflected in the share price most of the times. You will see that being reflected in the share price because the level of activities of that particular company will increase. And if you have done more investments in the company, there are so many people that will be willing to become part of us. Now, what determines to some degree the shareholder, the share prices is the news, right? It's the news. The news, like how many people are demanding the shares of that particular company. The more people are demanding the demands, more people want to become shareholders of that company. Then you see the price as well start shooting because that company is on demand. And that is dependent on the level of capitalization in that company. How heavy are the investment they have done? How active are they on the ground? How reputable is this company? All those are questions. How well known is the company? Because that's what will determine. Many people want. Then again, at the same time, when many people, you see how the news does things. When many people, for example, there is a news, and by the news, I just mean general information. People get information, a negative information concerning the company. Maybe they hear this company is closing down. many people would want to start now selling the shares of that company. They no longer want to become a shareholder. Exactly.
Because they don't want to make a loss. like what happened? It should be mid this year when they're talking. Was it Zanaco? There was some rumors that were coming out saying that Zanaco was about to close. People were urging people to remove their monies from Zanaco. And yet also there were some rumors that came. You know, a lot of people had started withdrawing their monies from Zanaco. They started withdrawing their monies. Yes.
Such news is dangerous because it would actually it would actually affect the share prices, because the more people are selling the shares, are giving out they don't want to become shareholders, then there's low demand for those shares. So you see now that the price of that the share prices will start slowly coming down because people are no longer demanding. So that's the news. That's why when you're a finance director, at least you're also learning the ideas of becoming a finance doc. Very soon you'll become
very much. Very much.
when you sit on that seat, as a finance director, there are a lot of issues that you consider. Even the information you send out to the public, you also want to guard your reputation. That's why we try by all the means, because we don't want that bad news to go out there. It will really negatively hamper us. And this is what we ensure that we don't find ourselves in that. And that's what happens. Sometimes what usually happens is that this company, you see, for example, I just want to share, this one is a quick one. When I went to the university, by the way, I went to the University of Zambia to do a bachelor's degree those days. When I went to the University of Zambia, there is that East Park Mall. You know, there is that mall. You know, have you been to Lusaka?
Yes.
Yeah. East Park Mall there. When we were in first year, this is just commercial break. When we were in first year somewhere, at some point, we went to buy Milmi in ShopRite with the guys. Anyways. And so when we went there with the guys to buy the Milmi, this Milmi that we bought, it was kind of bitter. We cooked the shima and this shima tasted different. And so like, no, maybe we don't know how to cook. We endured for that day. The following day we cooked like there's something wrong. And then we went to ShopRite to launch the company. No, the mini meal, whatever. And then those guys, they gave us another bag of meat. Unfortunately, it was also the same one. We went there again. We cooked. Now we got upset. We were like, okay, let's do a proof. Let's cook this shima, and then the director should test it. And then we cooked the shima. We packed the shima. We carried the mini meal, and the guys were also on phones, and we call them the media guys. You know, we went as a group. We went to cause chaos. Anyway, by that time I was just in first year, and actually I was just I think 4 months in the university. I had those months. When we reached at the ShopRite, everybody was just looking at it. And we were looking for the manager. Where is the manager?
Yes.
We want to cast the complaints about that thing. And you see, what was interesting, the point I'm driving at, is the way how we were handled.
Yes.
You see, when you came back with a complaint like that, we were ready. Can you test? Because we thought those guys are going to refuse what for us. We came now with the receipts and everything. People, they came to us when we were still at the distance. What is wrong? Because they noticed something is wrong. And they didn't want everybody to hear what was going on. The manager pulled us, guys, calm down. Let's come to the office. Can you calm down? Don't worry, things will be solved. And they talked to us. Now, the message we are sending across is that when you sit at that seat, you also want to protect the institution so that the message that goes out there is actually a good message, does not actually hamper with the reputation. So that's how news affects the share prices. You have learned that one. Yeah, how to own shares. This is what I've already said. In tomorrow's lecture, I will also show you about this. Are there any risks that are involved? Yes, quite all right. There are risks that are involved. The risks could be these shares may start falling down in terms of the price. At that point, if the company the share price starts going, of course, it's not permanent, by the way. These are swings. It can just be for a short time, maybe for 1 month or something. Again, the share price, people are working on it. I mean, there are departments voted to look at those figures in companies. So the finance director and the team, they'll know what is wrong and try to polish up everything, and they get back on track. And that's why I told you that when you look at the share price and investing in shares and whatever, you have to look at it in long term. It's not one day thing. Look at it in 3 years from now. Because when you observe the trend, the share price may fall now, but when you observe the trend, it's usually an upward trend with time when you study a long time series trend of the way how the share prices have been going. For Zanaco 2 years ago, they were selling their share price as low as 146 anyway. Yeah, it was that low, but this time around they should be 6 or somewhere to 7. I haven't checked, but you can check via Lucy, and you'll see that tomorrow actually. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's it. Whatever, whether it's 5 or whatever, you can actually check the amount. So basically, that's the message that we are sending across. So share prices change. If they fall down during that time, the risk is that if you're tempted to sell, don't sell. This is a principle you should move with it. You should forget everything. Sell low, sell high, and buy low.
Buy low. Yeah.
Buy low.
Okay.
And sell high.
Okay.
So when the prices are low, please go and buy, because I mean, it means they're open. But when the prices start going up,
so basically, you have to be, as an investor, you have to be well equipped with the current affairs that are happening almost for each and every company that is there. That is interesting you. So, for instance, when you hear that, okay, maybe the company, this side, it's the share prices are going down. You investigate, you check the trend of the company in the previous years, and then so the trend has just been okay. You can purchase because now they are going down. Maybe there may be people who want to sell who are afraid, and then you buy, and then you will just wait. They rise. It's a win for you.
Exactly. Okay. That's how actually the market works. And now concerning the buying and the selling of everything, this is important to notice. I will show you tomorrow when it comes to diversification of portfolio. You don't have to be buying companies anyhow in any company, buying shares. What you do is you could actually maybe choose 2 or 3 companies in 3 different sectors, and you just be rotating your portfolio around these 3 companies, right? Because you can't buy shares maybe only in banks, Zanaco Bank, Standard Chartered Bank. You're just buying in the same sector because the companies are sitting in the same sector. It is true that the factors that may affect Zanaco, they could actually affect the other companies. So you would have not diversified. Yeah, you wouldn't have diversified. So proper diversification is to ensure that at least even the sectors are different, so that the relationship between these stocks that you are building is actually equal to 0. So this is what we aim at when you're building an efficient portfolio. I'll comment much about building efficient portfolio tomorrow. Yeah, so but to get it in a nutshell, at least we don't really need to spread our money across maybe 10 companies, because again, the more companies you have, the fewer the shares you have. You just have maybe only 100 shares in that, 50 shares in there, 10 shares in there. It's better you have maybe 3 companies, then you have 1 million shares in each, 5 million shares. You get the point. Have few companies, but have more shares in those.
More shares in each.
That's the secret. Yeah. What if I change my mind? It's another conversation. What if I change my mind? I'm no longer interested in becoming a shareholder of a company. You can sell the shares.
Okay.
You can sell shares. Actually, the transaction takes place a maximum of 72 hours, 3 days. That's a maximum from the time you command. But within that time, the shares will be sold and the money will come back to your account, to your bank account. So if you want, you can change your mind. You invest today, again next week, change your mind. You are no longer interested. Sell those shares and get back your money. That is if you change your mind. So it's not something that when you get there, you are really stuck.
Yes.
Is that
but isn't it a bit risk selling shares anyhow?
That's why I'm saying,
because I feel it can.
Yeah, that's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying sell anyhow. The message we are sending is that In case you want to change your mind, don't worry, because sometimes people's fear will be, what if I want to change my mind? I'm no longer interested. Please, you have heard there is a selling option. You can sell the shares. It's easy. You don't go out to advertise. No, I have shares in Zanaco. I am selling. No, there is a platform. You just click this button and then the shares will be sold. I'll show you how that is tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have that conversation. Now I'll show you how to buy, how to sell in case you want to sell, how to do everything. As we come to the close of today's conversation, let me highlight the following. In tomorrow's, as we prepare for tomorrow, ensure you have a PDF of your NRC. At least do a PDF of your NRC, both sides, front and back, a PDF of that. Then as well, you could have a PDF of your passport size photo. Those are requirements. Yeah. And you have your bank account, you know the account number, you also know the bank branch where it is. More important, you know the branch, everything. Then again, the other thing that you may need tomorrow is what? I've talked about the NRC, isn't it?
Yes,
talked about
NRC
the NRC
passport.
The passport and the what else? I've talked about the bank details, right? Everything.
Yes, and the bank details. Yes.
The bank details. I think these are key. If anything, we can correct it the same tomorrow along the way. But those should be done. Have the PDFs of those sent here, then we get started tomorrow. And tomorrow our focus will be opening the account, because the major session will be after we have already opened the account. After we have already opened the account, that's when we can push to have the other session. Just understanding how it works inside. Yeah, that's a focus of tomorrow's convo. 14.
Okay.
Any questions?
For now, I'm digesting. If any questions arrives tomorrow, definitely I will ask it.
Okay, not a problem. Thank you so much for tuning in and for giving us this opportunity to train. Eh? Yeah.
I really appreciate. It doesn't come to that easy.
Yeah, you managed to have it. It's okay.
Yes, finally.
You managed to have it.
And we're still waiting for more. This is just the start.
All right. See you around, boss.
Yes.
All right. The best. Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.